Hello, my name is Dr. Cindy Bacon, and I am the professor for NUR 540, Financial Management in Healthcare. I would like to go over with you in this video some important points in the syllabus. There will be a separate orientation video for clinical, and then I will also post a video next week on the discussion forums and the way to do that. You won't need that until the second week because the first discussion forum is simply introducing yourself to the members of the class. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to look at the syllabus for the class. I want to show you what it looks like. This is the document that you're going to want to bring up on Canvas. And as you can see, the title is course number NU 540, NUR 540, Financial Management in Healthcare. This is a 3-credit course, and if you'll pull this up in Canvas, it'll be important that you either print it out or have it available so you can follow along with it as we go through the syllabus. The first thing you're going to notice is that there's a description of the course. It is an introduction to the principles of fiscal management and healthcare accounting practices that the nurse administrator would use in the budgeting process and in budgeting and financial responsibilities. So you'll notice that there are two different sets of learning objectives. There are course objectives for the overall course, and then later on you will notice in the syllabus that there are specific clinical objectives for your clinical practicum. It is important to understand that the overall course objectives apply to both the course and the clinical. And then the clinical objectives are specifically for the time that you're in practicum with your nurse leader. You will notice on the first page of the syllabus, it has my contact information. I do have office hours on Mondays from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. and also office hours at any other time, either on the phone, in person, or virtually as needed by appointment. The student learning objectives, one thing you'll also notice that may be different about this course than other graduate courses that you've taken previously, this course has the ability to select undergraduate students, and in fact in this semester that we're talking about right now, which is spring 2016, there is at least one RN to BSN student who is an undergraduate in the course with us, as well as some vision students who are brand new graduate students, and some more experienced graduate students who are in the middle or towards the end of their program. So we have a really nice diverse group in our group. The reason I point this out to you is because if you are looking at the objectives, you'll see that there are different learning objectives for the graduate versus the undergraduate student. The actual types of learning that's going to occur is the same for the graduate and the undergraduate. It's just the level is slightly different. For example, course objective number 1. For the graduate student, evaluate how economics and the financing of healthcare affect the provision of services. For the undergraduate, it is the same type of information. However, instead of evaluate, their objective number 1 for the undergraduate is describe economics as it applies to healthcare and the provision of services. So a slightly different level in what we expect from them. I'm now on page 2 of the syllabus. Page 2, after the student learning objectives, has the topical calendar outline. And you see that there are 3 primary areas that we will be covering in this course. This includes basic financial principles, which will include an overview of healthcare finance, financial environments, and some information on healthcare economics and some basic economic principles. Analysis of financial information. That will take us through Unit 1. The second unit is financial planning, and this is where we will go over healthcare costs and pricing, planning and control of finances, which will take into account developing a business plan, which you're actually going to do is in your groups, and we'll talk about zero-based budgeting. We'll also talk about how to conduct a break-even analysis. The third unit is budget development. This is our final unit, and in this unit we will talk about several different types of budgets. There are many types of budgets. The three that we are going to talk about are capital budgets, operational budgets, and personnel budgets. And then we're going to talk about controlling the operation of those budgets and looking at variances. Variances are things that are different from what's expected. So if you expected $4,000 in income and you got $3,000, you need to explain that variance or that difference of the $1,000 from the $4,000 you expected and the $3,000 you actually got. So a lot of what nurse leaders, nurse managers do is justify expenses on their budgets, and they have to be able to explain why things are over or under what was expected in the forecasted budget. And then finally, we'll talk about how to analyze these variances. If you turn to page 3 in your syllabus, you will see the topical outline again. Now I have it broken out by week. One thing I do want to point out to you that's very important for this course, which might be different from other graduate courses you've taken that are online. This course is an online course. However, we do have two classes that meet asynchronously. That means most of the course will occur in an asynchronous manner, meaning that we all go on and we do our work at our own speed at our own time. However, there are two classes, week 10 and week 16, where we will meet in a synchronous manner. This means that we will all meet together at the same time in a virtual environment. We won't be in a physical classroom on campus. We will be meeting virtually online. So all of us will log in at the same time. And on these 2 weeks, week 10, you will do group presentations on your business plan. And on group 16, which is the last part of the class in final exam week, you will present your final projects, which are the final exam for this course. Moving on to page 4 in the syllabus are teaching methods. There are a lot of assigned readings. For those of you that are new to graduate study, that is one of the biggest things that I think is different in graduate education is the amount of reading, and you are expected to read it all. There's also reflective journaling. In online courses, journaling and discussion boards are really important ways that we as faculty will present information to you so that you can understand it and apply it in your work. We also will be utilizing some statistical software, Excel type spreadsheets. You will be doing presentations using presentation software such as PowerPoint or Prezi or what other type of professional business presentation software. And there will be group projects as well. As far as grading for the course, there are some exams. You will notice in grading, because we do have some undergraduate students taking this course, that there is a different percentage of the final grade and the percentage of items that make up the grade for graduate and undergraduate students. I'm going to go through and talk about the graduate students first, since that will apply to almost all of you, and then I will talk briefly about undergraduate students. We have one student that applies to. So you will notice on page 3 under evaluation and grading, the first item are exams. There are 3 exams. The 3 exams will make up 30% of your grade. These are exams that are open book that you will take online. You will have 1 week to complete them. These exams are each 10% and collectively make up 30% of your grade. Second item on there is your clinical journal entries. In this course, we will have 2. You may have seen them listed as reflected exercises in other graduate courses in the nursing administration concentration. I am calling them clinical journal entries here. And in clinical journal entries, you will document the experiences that you have in your practicum. There are 2 of these. There is a standard rubric that is posted in Canvas that you will need to review, as well as instructions for how to complete these. It is the same as other courses that Dr. Jenkins and I have taught, and we are standardizing them across courses. So if you've had a clinical course before, this information will be familiar to you. If not, you'll want to take a little bit more time to read the guidelines. And I am going to have a separate video on the clinical information to follow this particular overall course video. The next item you will see is the presentation of the business plan. This is going to be done at week 10. The business plan is going to be worth 25% of your grade. And this business plan, we will talk about in detail in a little bit, is where you work as a group to present some new idea or project on a hypothetical unit or department. The final exam is also your final project. Your final project and final exam are the same thing. I will refer to them as both, but typically project is the word you're going to hear me say. And your final project will be distributed to you after you complete the business plan, so you can work with your group and you can complete that assignment. That is 25% of your grade. Discussion boards will comprise the final 10% of your grade. There are 5 discussion boards. The first one is simply a get to know one another kind of thing. And then the others are on specific topics related to finance. So 10% of the course grade will be these discussion boards, which means that they will be 2% each of your overall grade. Finally, you will see practicum experience. Your practicum is graded as a satisfactory, non-satisfactory. That means either you pass or you don't. It is important to know that you do have to pass the practicum in order to pass the course. Conceivably, theoretically, you could pass everything but the practicum, and that means that you would be unsuccessful in the course. So you must pass the course and the practicum in order to be successful. Now let me take a minute to talk about for the undergraduate student that may be in our course. You will notice that you have the exact same assignments as the graduate students. Your percentages are slightly different. Your exams are going to be worth 15% each for a total of 45% of the grade. Your clinical journals are 10% total, or 5% each. The business plan is worth 15%. The final exam group project is worth 20%, and then your discussion boards are the same at 10%. It is important to know that all assignments do need to be completed in order to successfully pass the course. You also have to complete your preceptor evaluations and turn in all associated clinical paperwork before I will release your grade and let you successfully complete the course. I'm now on page 6 of the syllabus. If you move here, you will see the grading scale. You will notice that there is a different grading scale for graduate versus undergraduate students. The graduate grading scale is the specialty grading scale, which is a 7-point scale. For example, if you look in the column that says graduate, you will see that an A is 93 to 100, A minus 90 to 92, etc. The undergraduate scale is slightly different. This is the typical scale that the School of Nursing uses. For example, an A plus is 98 to 100%. And that's the biggest difference between the two scales, that there are a little bit more, there's a little bit different range in scales in the undergraduate, and there are more pluses and minuses than the graduate scale. I do need to tell you that there is a late work penalty. It is expected that your work is turned in and on time. Certainly, you are all adults. You're adult learners, and sometimes we have emergencies in life. Those are certainly acceptable if you communicate to me in a timely manner. That means if you know that you have something coming up that in a week, then I expect it to be done. If you have a death in the family, if you have an illness that comes up unexpectedly, obviously these are things that cannot be prevented, and I will work with you to the best of my ability to get those done. However, you cannot just wait till the last minute, get busy with something else at work, and think that I am going to give you an exception. That will not happen. If you do turn in work late, there will be a 10-point penalty for every single day late, and you do need to know that late discussion board postings are not accepted. If you don't post in a discussion board, you will get a 0. And the reason for that is a discussion board is just the same in a classroom as it is online. So think about it this way. If you're going into a discussion, you need to post timely in a manner so people can respond and that you can have dialogue back and forth over the course of the week. The course is set up so that assignments begin on Monday at 12:01 a.m. and go until Sunday at 11:59 p.m. So if you have a discussion board, you can't wait until Sunday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to post your first entry, because you will not have enough time to have interaction among your group. So you want to start early in your week and do your postings and replies. There are a lot of students in this course for a graduate course. There are 12 students currently registered, which means that you are going to have to be timely in getting it started and making sure that you not only post in your discussion boards, but that you have quality postings. There is a rubric, and Dr. Jenkins and I are going to post a separate video on the discussion board that you can watch. On page 6, practicum journals and practicum experience. I'm going to talk about this separately in the clinical video. The business plan, this is developed as a group activity. Students will be assigned to a group. In fact, I've already assigned you. There are 3 groups. There are 4 students in a group, and there are specific assignment instructions and a rubric on page 9 that we will talk about when we get there in the syllabus. There are 3 unit exams. They are to be done on your time online. You have 1 week to 1 week period to complete them, but you have a limited time. So it is open book, but there will be a 3, maybe 4 hour time frame in which you have to complete it. So you have a whole week to do it, but you only have 1 sitting and 1 attempt, and there is a timed component to these exams. The final exam is a group project. This is going to incorporate, kind of tie together everything that we do in the course, and I will be distributing that final exam on March 21st. So you will have between March 21st and May 1st in order to complete it. So please see the course calendar. It is very detailed. It should give you exactly when things are due, and if you have any questions, you can certainly let me know. Continuing on page 7, there is an academic integrity policy. Each student is required to sign the academic integrity pledge on all coursework submitted for the course. This includes papers, journals, assignments, and exams. I will not grade the exams, papers, assignments, etc. without this statement. And for those of you that have been in the course in the MSN courses before, it's the same statement. Attendance policy, I do want to make sure that you know, even though this is an online course, you do need to keep up. It is expected that you are turning assignments in a timely way. It's very important that because there are 2 big group projects, that you participate in your groups and that you are timely in response to your colleagues, because it will affect your grades. If there is a need for an adjustment to a timeline, if you have an emergency, if there's makeup work, that will be addressed one-on-one. But that will be the exception, not the rule. I do need to let you know about drop add. The drop policy, consistent with UNC policy, is that the last day to withdraw from this course will be Friday, March the 4th. This is the last opportunity you will have to withdraw without incurring a withdrawal failing grade. Preparation for class is the next item on the syllabus. You will note there that it says to refer to the welcome letter in the course announcements for week 1, which has been posted to Canvas. This will give you some helpful information about the MSN admin program. As far as additional course information, you can see this here. Communication is absolutely essential and required. You need to be able to access Canvas. You also need to have an approved UNCG email address. And I need to have your contact information, phone number, etc., so that I can get a hold of you if need be. In like manner, you have my contact information. You have my email address. That is the preferred method of communication. However, you certainly may call me. I prefer to be called on my cell phone. I am rarely in my office. You can call the office, but there may be delay in getting back to you because I'm only there 2 days, maybe 3 days a week. So please feel free to call my cell phone. The number is listed on the syllabus, and I will get back to you in a timely manner. My pledge, because I'm expecting you to be timely, is that I'm going to be timely in return. All documents need to be submitted in Microsoft Word in a doc or docx format. You do need to let me know immediately if you have any issues with access. Canvas is still fairly new to us, so I think we might have a few growing pains related to Canvas. I know certainly I'm not the most tech-savvy individual, so I certainly am available to help you as best I can, and we'll work through those issues together. All written guidelines must conform to APA guidelines. Refer to the syllabus, and I gave you a web link. If you need further information, you can pull it up there. I also need to know that if you have any disabilities, you need to make me aware of any factors that may impact your performance in the class. Those issues need to be brought to the professor at the beginning of the course as soon as possible so that those matters can be addressed. If this applies to you, please let me know, and we will work together one-on-one. All right, I'm going to flip to page 9 now of your syllabus. This is the business plan. This is your first group project that is going to be due in week 10, which is the week of March 14th through the 20th on your course calendar. And you will note that this is a group project. We are going to decide as a group in the first week when exactly we will have this synchronized class. I will send out a doodle poll and we will find a time that meets everyone's needs. It can be on the weekend, it can be on a Saturday, it can be in the evening. I know that you're all busy working folks, and I'm certainly willing to find whatever week meets all of our needs. Okay, moving through. I'm sorry for flipping through papers, but I want to make sure I have the right thing here, and that I told you the right week for the business plan before we move on. Yes, week 10, March 14th through the 20th. So the business plan is really meant for you to be creative and develop an idea as a group. It can be something such as, it's supposed to be a business plan where you will make a modification to a hypothetical unit or department. For example, you might be working in an inpatient unit that's med-surg, and you are now tasked with adding telemetry monitors to this unit. So all the things that go into that, the equipment, the supplies, the labor, the staffing, everything that is a component of a business plan will be important for you to talk about. You as a group will select the site, you will select the change. It's totally within your control. You also need to know that with all group projects in this course, there is a peer review component, and peer review is important because it not only gives my grade, my feedback and my perception of your grade, but you also for one another, and you will grade yourself, and that will be a portion of your group grade. There is a rubric in Canvas for the business plan, and you can see that there are a number of different components. There needs to be a clear definition of what you're going to do. There needs to be a market analysis, so you need to explain what your patient mix or your market share is going to be. There needs to be a rough financial plan of how you're going to implement it. It needs to match with your mission, so you need to tell me what the mission is and how you fit in with the mission with your change that you're making. You need to describe whatever product or service that you are doing and who your consumers are. It needs to fit with the existing services, so you need to talk about how that happens and think about the mission and the things that are going on. You need to talk about your competitive edge and your market share and how this change is going to affect that. You need to address profitability and risks of making this change. You need to talk about issues that impede the project, and you will see that the two areas that have the most points in this section are making sure you talk about issues that affect the project and how you're going to address them. Again, it's hypothetical. And your timeline, which includes a Gantt chart. The next part of that is the presentation. There's 30 points for your presentation. This is things like how logical. This is the appropriate use of technology. Was that done in your presentation? And what is the quality? Is it of professional quality? And then 10 points of that will be peer review. Moving on to the last part of the syllabus, page 11 is your final exam. You will get the actual final exam group project after you present your business plans. So March 21st, that will be sent out to you. As a group, in your 3 separate groups, you will plan a project for your final exam, and you will present that in a synchronized session during final exam week. Again, we will decide on those dates up front, so you have them and you will know exactly when that is expected. The next part of the syllabus on page 12 goes into the clinical requirements. I'm going to do that in a separate video, and that will take us from page 12 to 16, which is the final part of the syllabus. If you have any questions about Canvas, you need to make sure that you call 6TECH. That is the number 6, TECH, on a campus phone. That is the number that you call within the university for any assistance or technical issues with Canvas. Make sure that you can access it, that you can go into it. There are some detailed information in the announcements where this video is, and lots of information related to the course. Again, I want to thank you for taking the course. I'm very excited about the semester, and I look forward to our journey together in learning about financial management. Thank you.